Hello, everyone, and welcome to Step It Up with Dr. A, where we share stories, lessons, and insights to help students, professionals, and lifelong learners navigate their personal and professional journeys. Before we begin, I'd like to share a quick note. The purpose of this podcast is to educate, inspire, and encourage thoughtful decision making. The experiences, opinions, and perspectives shared by me and any guest are based on our personal and professional experiences and are intended for educational and informational purposes only. They are not intended to serve as individualized medical, financial, or professional advice, career counseling, legal advice, or academic guidance. Every person's journey is unique. My hope is that these conversations help you ask better questions, explore possibilities, and make informed decisions that are right for you. Please seek guidance from qualified professionals and mentors when making important decisions. Welcome back to Step It Up with Dr. A. I am Dr. Nivedita Agarwal. Over the last several episodes, we have discussed why medicine, what a physician's life really looks like, academic preparation, and the importance of shadowing, volunteering, and clinical exposure. Today, I want to talk about something that may be the most important topic we have covered so far. Empathy, service, and understanding people. Because while medicine certainly requires scientific knowledge, medicine is ultimately a profession built on human connection. You can know every textbook. You can memorize every guideline. You can score perfectly on every exam. But if you cannot connect with people, you will struggle to become the physician your patients need. When I think about where I first learned some of the most important lessons about medicine, I don't think about a classroom or an exam. I think about people. Long before I understood diagnoses, treatments, or medical training, I had opportunities to observe the relationships that exist between physicians and patients. I noticed the trust patients placed in their doctors. I noticed the gratitude they expressed. And I noticed how meaningful it was when patients felt seen, heard, and cared for. What stayed with me wasn't a specific medical condition or treatment plan. It was the human connection. Even as a child, I could see that medicine was about connection more than science. It was about relationships. It was about trust. It was about showing up for people during some of the most vulnerable moments of their lives. Looking back, those early observations taught me one of the most important lessons in medicine. Patients may not remember every detail of what you said, but they will remember how you made them feel. And years later, when I experienced medicine from the other side, as a family member caring for a loved one facing a serious illness, that lesson would become even more meaningful. When students think about medicine, they often imagine learning anatomy, physiology, biochemistry, and pharmacology. And yes, those things matter. But patients don't walk into our offices as textbook chapters. They arrive with stories. They arrive with families. They arrive with fears, beliefs, cultures, financial challenges, life experiences, and all of those factors influence their health. One of the reasons I chose to minor in anthropology during college was because I was fascinated by people. I wanted to understand how culture, family, traditions, and lived experiences shape the way individuals view health and illness. At the time, I didn't fully appreciate how valuable that perspective would become. Today, I use those lessons every day, because understanding patients often requires understanding their world. What empathy really means for many people means feeling sorry for someone. But empathy is much deeper than that. Empathy is the ability to step outside your own perspective and genuinely try to understand another person's experience. It means asking, what might this person be carrying that I can't see? What fears are keeping them up at night? What challenges are affecting their decisions? What does the situation feel like from their perspective? Empathy doesn't require that you have lived the exact same experience. It requires curiosity, humility, and a willingness to listen. My father taught me what compassionate medicine looked like. But one of the most powerful lessons about empathy came years later, when I experienced medicine from the other side. Several years into my medical career, my mother was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer that had spread to her lungs. Hearing those words was one of the most difficult moments of my life. As physicians, we understand what those diagnoses mean. We know the medical terminology, the staging systems, the treatment options, and the statistics. But when the patient is someone you love, all of that knowledge suddenly feels very different. In that moment, I wasn't thinking like a physician. I was thinking like a daughter. Our family was overwhelmed with fear, uncertainty, and questions. What happens now? What treatments are available? What should we expect? How do we move forward? Despite my medical training, I found myself experiencing many of the same emotions that patients and families experience every day. What I remember most from that time isn't a specific test result or scan. What I remember is how my mother's oncologist and his team cared for us. They listened. They explained. They reassured. They acknowledged our fears without dismissing them. They helped us understand our options and guided us through difficult decisions. Most importantly, they never made us feel alone. Their compassion didn't remove the diagnoses, but it made an incredibly difficult journey feel more manageable. Watching them care for my mother reminded me that medicine is not simply about treating disease. It's about caring for human beings during some of the most vulnerable moments of their lives. As physicians, we sometimes underestimate the impact of our presence. But from the perspective of a patient and family member, it matters tremendously. The words we choose, the time we spend, the way we listen, the compassion we show, those things stay with people. That experience reinforced something I still believe today. Scientific expertise is essential, but compassion is what transforms medical care into healing. My mother's journey also reinforced something I had already begun to observe throughout my years in medicine. Two patients can have the exact same diagnosis and completely different experiences. One patient may have a strong support system. Another may be facing illness alone. One may have easy access to care. Another may struggle with transportation, finances, language barriers, or competing responsibilities. One patient may feel hopeful. Another may feel overwhelmed. As physicians, we don't simply treat diseases. We care for people who are living with those diseases. And behind every diagnosis is a person, a family, a story, a set of fears, hopes, and circumstances that may not be immediately visible. The more we understand the person behind the illness, the better physicians we become, and the more meaningful our impact can be. One of the greatest skills you can develop as a future physician is listening. Not listening while waiting for your turn to speak. Not listening while thinking about your next question. Truly listening. Many patients will tell you exactly what they need if you create enough space for them to be heard. Sometimes what patients need most isn't another test. Sometimes it's reassurance. Sometimes it's education. Sometimes it's simply knowing that someone cares. Students often ask me how many volunteer hours they need. I think a better question is, how can I develop a mindset of service? Service isn't something you do occasionally. It's a way of approaching people. It's recognizing that every interaction is an opportunity to help someone. Whether you're volunteering at a food bank, helping a classmate, mentoring younger students, or serving your community, the habits of service begin long before medical school. Years from now, most patients won't know your board scores or your GPA or your MCAT scores. They will remember how you made them feel, whether they felt heard, whether they felt respected, whether they felt understood. Never underestimate the impact of human connection. The reflection exercise that I want you to challenge yourself with is to do something simple but powerful. Have a conversation with someone whose life experience is different from your own. It could be a grandparent, a patient you're volunteering with, a neighbor, a teacher, a coworker, a friend from a different cultural background. Your goal is not to give advice. Your goal is simply to listen. Ask questions such as, what has been one of the biggest challenges in your life? What experience has shaped who you are today? What is something you wish more people understood about you? What has helped you get through difficult times? Then spend most of the conversation listening. Afterward, take a few minutes to reflect and write down. What did I learn about this person? What assumptions did I have that were challenged? What surprised me most? How did this conversation change my perspective? How might this experience help me become a better future physician? Remember, empathy doesn't develop from textbooks. It develops from curiosity, humility, and genuine human connection. And those are qualities you can start building today. If there's one message I hope you take away from today's episode, it's this. Medicine is not simply about treating diseases. It's about caring for people. Science is essential. Knowledge is essential. But empathy, compassion, humility, and service are what transform medical knowledge into healing. The physicians who leave the greatest impact are rarely remembered for what they knew. They're remembered for how they cared. Thank you for joining me on Step It Up with Dr. A. In our next episode, we'll discuss research, curiosity, and standing out, what medical schools really want to see. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, keep stepping it up. I am Dr. A, and I'll see you next time. Thank you for listening to Step It Up with Dr. A. Remember, this podcast is designed to provide educational information and inspiration, not individualized professional advice. Always consult qualified professionals regarding your specific circumstances.